Reports of damage in Neosho to Lebanon and places in between. KSPR meteorologist Josh DeBerg is live in the Dallas County seat of Buffalo, and he joins us by phone now to describe what he's seeing. Josh?
Well, Christine, a pretty amazing sight now that we're getting into the damage. I just got done touring a home where I was in the bedroom and there were 2x4s actually through the wall. Curtains had been sucked out through about a 2-inch gap between the wall and the ceiling. Just amazing, powerful damage here. And then you walk out that door and you get the scene of the neighborhood. There are houses that are completely gone in some cases. Their roofs have been blown off. The walls are down. I'm looking at probably right now a good half dozen to a dozen homes that I would describe as majorly damaged. It is mainly just to the north of Highway 32, and that is where the heaviest damage is, Joe and Christine. Right now, the good news is I just talked to someone with the Buffalo Fire Department, and there are no injuries as of right now and nobody missing, which is quite a feat here when you take a look at the damage here in Buffalo.
Okay, that's Josh DeBerg reporting live. Josh, we have heard from Buffalo City Hall that 2 people were injured. Have you talked with emergency management yet up there?
I did talk to emergency management. They told me that there were no injuries. Of course, in this type of scene, and emergency are just now going door to door. It's difficult to judge, but that certainly could be the case, Joe. We haven't been able to confirm that.
Okay. Keep us informed, Josh, and get back with us if you got any more updates during this newscast.
Sure.
That's Josh DeBerg reporting live tonight. Nearly 8.
Look at the power lines bent over, debris hanging on the power lines there. Convenience store looks like the roof there. Twisted metal is there as well with this storm that came through. This was earlier this afternoon in the Dallas County area when there was very strong winds. Don't know whether or not if it was a tornado or not, but potentially dropped a tornado. If not, it doesn't matter if it was a tornado or damaging winds. It did the damage out there. Here's the satellite and radar.
Have barely been touched. We'll tell you both sides of the story.
4 people were standing right here near the entrance of a flea market when winds destroyed the building around them.
Plus, police finally make an arrest in a murder case that's been unsolved for more than 25 years. On Fox, heavy winds and tornadoes damaged buildings north of Springfield today, and many other communities were pounded with severe thunderstorms. Senior meteorologist Ted Keller is in the weather lab. And Ted, where's the storm headed to now?
It's out, pretty much. We still have some lingering rain down to the southeast of us, Angie, but the fact of the matter is, it's all, I should say, and that's going to continue to be the case, but many of those will be allowed to expire here in the overnight hours. The tornado watch still in effect for parts of Arkansas is out of our viewing area now, and that's it. So you can forget about March and the whole lamb thing. It definitely didn't end that way, and I'll talk more about where the tornadoes were reported today and whether what hit Buffalo was or not, and have a calmer forecast for you coming up in a few minutes.
Thanks, Ted. Emergency responders are busy in the city of Buffalo tonight after severe storms dropped a tornado there. Multiple businesses and homes were destroyed, but luckily no lives were lost. News at 9's Kate Stacy spent some time talking to survivors there and joins us with their story. Kate?
Angie, the storm hit in a concentrated area along Highway 65 and 32, and while some of the homes there were leveled, others were untouched. That has locals looking at the hit-and-miss power of Mother Nature. There are plenty of people getting a good look at the storm damage in Buffalo.
It looks like a complete mess.
But Zach Stone says he might have the best view.
You can see pretty much everything up here.
Stone finds himself sitting on the roof watching traffic through town on most evenings.
I climb up here all the time just watching the road.
But says on this night, the images stand out.
I'll always remember this.
Not only can he see destruction,
antique store's been destroyed. It's wiped out the gas station.
He can also see just how lucky he and his family are.
I barely missed our house.
While some Buffalo homeowners are finding they've just got a few branches to clean up in their yard, others are realizing there's a lot more storm cleanup ahead.
Let's push the wall out.
We can't show you Peggy Sibley's house because it's too dangerous to access.
We couldn't drive in. We tried from every direction.
Downed power lines and scattered debris kept her from collecting any more belongings while she was allowed on her property.
Well, this is all I could carry.
But she knows she has help when it comes to weathering the effects of this storm.
I'm going to a friend's house and spend the night and then come back in the morning.
A lot of work for those residents tomorrow, but in addition to good friends and neighbors, the Red Cross is also taking emergency response teams to Buffalo. Food and water will be offered. No word yet on whether a shelter will be open there.
Kate Stacy reporting from our newsroom tonight. Thanks, Kate. At least 3 businesses were leveled in the Dallas County town: a gas station, flea market, and collision repair shop. Seconds before the storm demolished the flea market, a customer was headed for the door. Today, she told us it was her friend's habit that kept her inside, safely away from the damaging winds.
We were out just doing an errand.
Mary Atkinson was on a typical outing with a friend.
And she was going to tend to her booth.
And like normal,
I've always said to her, you talk too much.
she was waiting on that friend to stop talking so they could leave.
She's always talking. I am so glad that she did that this time.
That's because their ordinary day suddenly turned extraordinary.
I heard this big boom and it just blew up.
When Mary came to, this is what she saw.
I was in the middle of all of that. I'm so thankful to be alive.
Lester Nemo owned this antique store.
Been a dream. It's all gone now.
While he's mourning the loss of his collectibles,
I mean, how you don't get anything out of there?
he's glad he's not doing the same for his worker and the 3 customers that were inside here when this happened.
I just thankful nobody's hurt.
Mary's grateful too,
And I'm going to tell you, I just thank God.
but it's for her friend's once annoying gift of gab
It is incredible.
that she's now incredibly thankful for.
She's all that saved me.
Mary says her friend fell on top of her and kept her from getting hurt by all the falling rubble. Her friend was taken by ambulance to the hospital that was for non-life-threatening injuries. Buffalo's mayor tells us the city is on curfew tonight from dusk till dawn. That's partly to prevent any further looting at those businesses. There were already reports there today of people stealing copper wire and other valuables. The severe weather started earlier today with the first round of storms this morning. The National Weather Service says a weak tornado briefly
Winds destroyed the building around them.
Severe weather strikes in Buffalo. Some properties are a loss while others have barely been touched. We'll tell you both sides of the story.
The strong thunderstorm cells have moved out. I'll tell you what they left behind.
Emergency
Scattered debris and forced some folks to pick up pieces of what used to be their homes. According to the emergency manager in Dallas County, 6 people sustained minor injuries. It's not known whether it was a tornado or straight line wind.
Was it a tornado that did all this damage? And the heads of the big oil companies face grilling on Capitol Hill today about why gas prices keep surging while they continue to make billions in profits.
You're watching Color 10 News at 11 with Yvette Mitchell and Tom Turton.
Good morning, everyone. Welcome to Color 10 News. We'll have those stories in a few minutes. First, we'll check in with Color 10 meteorologist Buffalo, Missouri. That's what a survey team from the National Weather Service is trying to find out this morning. The service tells us the team is in Buffalo now to assess the damage caused by strong winds during a thunderstorm yesterday afternoon. The storm hit along highways 65 and 32 there in Buffalo, damaging and destroying homes and businesses. The Buffalo City Hall has some damage, but it is serving as an emergency operations center. The Weather Service says it should have a determination on that this afternoon. Reports of tornadoes, funnel clouds, flooding, and
Buffalo, Missouri. KY3's Abby Warner joins us live with an update. Abby, what can you tell us about the power of this tornado and the damage path?
Well, Maria, we were here at the same time as the National Weather Service and saw them making their evaluations this morning. And we understand from them that, as you mentioned, it was an EF2 tornado confirmed that touched down southwest of Buffalo with winds that reached 120 miles per hour and cut a path 300 yards wide. And here is the aftermath of all of that. This is just a mere picture of what this town looks like right now. A lot of work going on to clean up debris, and this is merely a snapshot.
A day later, much of Buffalo looks just like it did only minutes after the storm.
Well, we've got damage from everywhere from southwest going in a line to northeast.
But this time, the eye has more to absorb.
We're now getting our first look at the neighborhood that was dealt the brunt of yesterday's storm damage. And you can see the roofs of these several buildings behind me were completely blown off. And the neighborhood itself is in pieces. Down below me here, you can see the street sign that used to mark this cross street. Even residents haven't even been allowed back into this area yet. And those few that have had to come with police escorts. Officials determined an EF2 tornado touched down yesterday afternoon. And that confirmation came as no surprise to those who watched it all unfold.
I mean, I seen the spinning, and it looked like a top that you spin on the ground.
They said it sounded like a freight train.
I seen a tornado. I mean, it was nothing. They can say what they want, but it was definitely a tornado. I started hearing stuff hitting the front door.
J.D. Shoemaker was one of the few neighborhood residents at home when the storm blasted through.
Watched the neighbor's house across the road come apart.
He and many others are calling themselves lucky today.
Good Lord was with us.
Only 3 people sustained injuries, none serious. More than 50 homes and businesses were damaged, though, and hundreds were left without power. Few were spared completely.
Well, I've been without power since about 2:20 yesterday.
Mine was one of those, and I've got power back this morning.
But the lights are coming back on in the town, and as they do, it becomes clearer. The storm itself was just the beginning.
Today we'll be looking at cleanup.
And you can see everyone is looking at cleanup right now. This is the antique shop we've been discussing the last couple of days, that people are now going through these items, trying to get a little bit of it back together, get some things picked up and salvage what they can. Again, this tornado touched down southwest of Buffalo just shy of 2:30 yesterday afternoon, causing all of this damage. Yesterday night, we were told 1,100 people were without power. Good news today is we have heard from the mayor just a short time ago that the majority of the city has power returned. There are, of course, still some spots that are without, however, Maria.
Abby, Buffalo's superintendent canceled school today. Any word yet about tomorrow?
I have not heard about school cancellations. We're still awaiting official word on that, as well as another curfew. I again just mentioned the mayor. He said that tonight they will very likely put another curfew in place just to be on the safe side.
And so far, looting was just last night or shortly after the storms passed through?
We were told late yesterday afternoon, early evening, they had a little bit of looting, and that's when they decided to put that curfew in place just to make sure that they could stop that ahead before it got too bad.
All right, Abby Wellner reporting live from Buffalo. Thank you, Abby, for that report. To help with cleanup in Dallas County, call this number, 1-888-345-8956. You can also donate non-perishable items to the Heart to Heart Ministries, located at 206 South Pine Street. It's open from 1:30 to 4 today through Friday.
An EF2 tornado cut a path of damage 300 yards wide in Buffalo. KY3's Sarah Sheffield is live there with one woman's story of survival tonight. Sarah.
Marie, this is what a lot of the town looks like here behind me. This was the antique store. They have confirmed now 43 homes were damaged, 13 businesses were also damaged. But among the devastation, a whole lot of volunteers. That has really been the case all over the place today. And last night at 10 o'clock on the 10 o'clock news, we talked to 2 sons who helped their 78-year-old mother get out of her house. And today she says she's well enough to speak for herself.
I heard something hit the house like you took a board maybe, you know, and hit the side of the house. And I sat there a minute and I thought, I'm going to get up and go see what that was.
But June Turner says she no more than got halfway out of this chair before her roof was ripped off.
I thought, I've got to get up from this chair because that wall was leaning against that chair.
The walls soon came tumbling down and June was trapped inside.
They were digging the front door out till they could get to me, and one of the boys hollered and said, you stay right where you are, we're coming to you. So I just stood there.
Digging through rubble and tossing pieces of the garage aside, crews were able to dig June out unharmed with just one small scratch.
I feel very lucky to be alive. If I'd have been in my bed, all 3 of my boys have told me, Mom, you would have got killed, because it took the wall out behind my bed.
Not much is left inside these walls, but on the outside, once this wall was taken off June's car, it also made it out with just some scratches. Loved ones were able to hop in and drive it away.
Sons and nephews and grandsons and good neighbors, we just got so much good help.
Help that June says actually started yesterday before the storm. She says she knows she wasn't alone.
I believe there's somebody in there with me besides just me. I believe God had his hands on me. I really believe that.
June says she plans to rebuild right there where she was. Right now she's staying with her son and Marie. Tonight at sundown, a curfew will go into effect just during all of the ravaged areas, not everywhere in the town, but basically it will run from sundown tonight until sunup tomorrow morning.
Sarah, it sounds like it didn't take long for her sons to get there and realize she needed the help. Were they nearby at the time that the storm rolled through?
Yeah, they were. Actually, one of the sons works at Kraft in Springfield, and he had one vacation day left, and for whatever reason decided that he'd take it yesterday. So he was in Buffalo, was right just down the street, and they, whenever they heard where it actually touched down, they knew it was close to her neighborhood, so they went over there immediately.
How funny that was his day off. Wow. Sarah Sheffield with a great story for us from Buffalo tonight. Thanks.
And today, KY3's Abby Wellner toured one of the hardest hit neighborhoods of Buffalo. And
cleanup efforts are beginning today. Tonight on KSFX News at 9, we'll show you what's being done and how the towns are coping with the extensive damage brought on by
storms. Some homeowners are worried about looters. We'll tell you what law enforcement is doing to make sure that doesn't happen.
And some city leaders are asking city utilities if it can avoid raising rates for customers. Plus, having a beautiful garden doesn't require a lot of land. We'll show you how to create a patio garden. Opportunity are cropping up in Dallas County after a tornado touched down in Buffalo. News at 9's Kate Stacy has more from the Dallas County town.
In this Buffalo neighborhood where Mother Nature's laid claim to street names, you really have to know where you're going.
Are you resident in here?
I'm going out that way and out.
Down Mill Street and out?
Yeah.
Okay.
If you want to get there.
Somebody drove me over here so I could see it the first time.
Barbara Graves arrived here to find her home turned inside out.
Everything you own was in a house that's not there.
While she was able to salvage her one prized possession,
my pictures, and they were there.
Police here worry would-be thieves are walking off with other valuables.
You have a lot of people that take advantage of the situation. They'll come in and steal personal valuables or belongings that are thrown about from the storm, as well as stealing copper and wire, anything that they can sell and make money on.
The crackdown on the crime of opportunity has law enforcement locking down the area.
Just to help law enforcement that's already on scene, just to maintain order.
There's just one point of entry to the disaster zone.
As soon as this car moves, then you can just head right on through, okay?
And an overnight curfew is in place. It's a move the chief says is effective, but nonetheless unfortunate.
It's aggravating. I mean, something like this, everybody should get together and help each other and not take advantage of the unfortunate.
Graves agrees and hopes she and her family can sort through the mess before someone else makes a profit from it.
Very violated that someone would want to prey on anyone's bad fortune.
That was Kate Stacy reporting. Disaster response crews came out to some of the houses, took any valuables they saw, and took them to storage for safekeeping for the owners. The National Weather Service confirmed today another tornado touched down in the Ozarks last night. To review.
News at 10.
How am I going to go through all this stuff? And then what am I going to do?
Homes and businesses shredded by a powerful storm. Tonight, survivors begin adding up what was lost to yesterday's twisters. Good evening, I'm Lisa Rose.
I'm Ethan Forhetz. The National Weather Service says 5 twisters touched down yesterday. The most powerful, an EF2 in Dallas County.
KY3's Paula Morehouse is live tonight in Buffalo. Paula?
A curfew is in effect for those neighborhoods hit the hardest by the tornado. Now, before sunset, folks were busy cleaning up and picking through debris in what will be a long road to recovery.
This is the kitchen and dining room.
For 15 years, this was home to Barbara Graves and her family. One day after an EF2 tornado tore through their neighborhood, they're left looking for anything salvageable. In the midst of all the rubble,
the china cabinet wasn't touched.
The china was a gift from her mother, who passed away a couple years ago.
Perfectly fine.
Besides the china and some photographs, everything else was a loss.
I just cried. I didn't know what to think.
This is the story that can be told over and over in the small town of Buffalo. At last count, 73 homes were damaged, and of those,
Totally destroyed, I think there was 12.
While homeowners begin picking up, city leaders grapple with a host of problems ranging from safety issues to unsavory ones.
7 were arrested yesterday.
Looting started within an hour of the tornado touching down.
They're taking advantage of them, they're stealing, and as far as I'm concerned, they don't deserve a break, they need to go straight to jail.
In the damaged neighborhoods, a checkpoint has been set up.
You're going straight through.
No one can go in or out without identifying themselves.
You don't live over in this area.
While law enforcers maintain order, utility crews restore power. Electricity is back on, except in the businesses and homes that are too damaged.
Overwhelmed.
That's the case for the Graves family, who will have to start over with just a few precious belongings.
These are some of the fish in the aquarium. It looks like we have 3 or 4 that have survived in the little frog.
He is alive?
Yeah.
Though the family has lost much, they're thankful no one was home when the tornado ripped through. Now they can begin rebuilding together.
I have my family, and I have my pictures, and, you know, the rest is stuff.
And that seems to be the spirit anytime I visit one of these tornado-ridden towns. Incidentally, no one else was hurt or seriously hurt, so that's good news here in Buffalo. And by the way, school is open tomorrow. They were closed today in part because of some trailers that were used as classrooms were damaged a little bit. Those trailers have been inspected and they've been given the okay for kids to go back to. So back to school tomorrow.
Paula, I know there's been a curfew in place. It doesn't seem like they're having problems with people coming out there at night.
I'm sorry, Lisa?
There's curfew has been in place. Is there one still in place?
Yeah, there is a curfew in place for the areas hit the hardest. There are lots of law enforcers out. They're patrolling the neighborhoods because many of the neighborhoods are in the dark. So they have patrols set up at each street. You cannot enter except through that one checkpoint. And inside the neighborhoods, there are plenty of law enforcers with flashlights out and about, making sure that nobody is looting.
Yeah. Paula Morehouse live for us tonight in Buffalo. Thanks, Paula. Buffalo has several storm sirens, but none sounded at the height of yesterday's storms. Officials say it's because the tornado developed before they had a chance to set them off. The National Weather Service did issue several thunderstorm warnings about half an hour before the tornado hit. They did not issue a tornado warning. National Weather Service says damage in Buffalo is evidence why people need to take severe thunderstorm warnings just as seriously as tornadoes.
We talk a lot about tornadoes, and they are certainly a deadly event, but plain old severe thunderstorms can be just as dangerous. So ultimately, we want people to take shelter as if their life was dependent upon it.
The National Weather Service says it's reviewed yesterday's weather conditions to determine if they could have better predicted that tornado.
While the sirens were silent there in Buffalo, they were sounding in Springfield yesterday afternoon, even though the city was not under a tornado warning. But because
Sarah Sheffield is back in Buffalo tonight. And Sarah, I know it's a race against time with this rain, but I understand lots of volunteers are there today to help out.
Yeah, lots of volunteers today, about 100. Also, they were here yesterday, that same group. You know, this place is still crawling with volunteers, Marie. They've done a lot of work already. Most of the debris is already in piles, and if you can believe it, the county's emergency rescue unit says the damage is about 90% cleaned up at this point, so that is the good news. Of course, with rain in the forecast, possibly tomorrow, even Friday, they're hoping to get the rest of this done before it comes and adds insult to injury.
Yeah, it takes just about one piece at a time.
And with one piece at a time, volunteers are working hard to get this house back in order.
This happens to other people, and you feel so sorry for them. But when that hits you, it's double, triple devastating.
Dozens of volunteers have scoured Faye and Ed Byron's house, helping to lighten the load.
They're a little heavy, aren't they? Had a little bit more width to me today than I had yesterday.
And it helps to know that some things are salvageable. Crews are loading up appliances and digging through drawers to find the irreplaceables.
They really needed more help in the house before the rain comes again.
Lena Tryon called on her friends to help folks pick up those things that won't make it through the rain.
Grandpa, see the resemblance?
Yeah. Put it over there, I'll keep it.
Crews have been hard at it in Buffalo since Monday. Nearly 100 people turned out yesterday and again today, knowing time is running short and that this sunshine isn't expected to last.
You want to get the stuff out that's, going to be harmed by rain. If you don't get the other things out, then they'll just have to wait.
And Marie, now the tour will be getting all of these piles actually hauled off. The volunteer coordinators are hoping for another big turnout on Saturday. They're asking anyone who wants to help or who still needs help to call 1-888-345-8956, 1-888-345-8956. That number will also be on our website at ky3.com.
Well, we're glad they're making progress, and hopefully Saturday will be another dry day so they can get it all done. Sarah Sheffield reporting tonight from Buffalo. Thanks.
we had dry weather out there today, but it looks like it's going to be the last of it.
Georgia, the rain is now pushed south of the Atlanta.
This is KY3 News at 6.
Volunteer crews in Buffalo saw no reason to wait for state or federal assistance to help tornado victims. For now, they're putting things back together on their own. Good evening, I'm Chad Pline.
And I'm Paula Morehouse. Hundreds showed up to help those affected by Monday's tornado. KY3's Sarah Sheffield has the story from Buffalo.
When the EF2 twister rolled through Buffalo Monday afternoon, it blew out this wall. It also took the entire roof off this house. It's actually hard to believe from looking at it today because neighbors are wasting no time helping neighbors get this house back to a home.
They're going to have the whole roof and shingled up and everything done by today.
It's going up.
This was the aftermath of the storm right here.
Almost as quickly as it came down.
But you can see how it blew the wall out in the ceiling. The roof came off and totally leveled it.
And now the volunteers are pouring in. Most of them were strangers this morning.
Well, thank you.
But that doesn't really matter.
That's an indication of a community that looks out for their own and cares for them.
Hit it! Kent Parson came from Hickory County.
There's another one down there somewhere.
He's pulling boards and popping out the nails.
I'm glad we don't have to pick up the nails.
Much of the lumber going into this house came from one that's in the same shape.
Picking that material up from some other side and bringing it here, they're going to salvage it.
No problem.
Okay.
Many of these volunteers are actually builders by trade.
Well organized.
With their expertise and with some irreplaceables finally located.
Found this in our yard over there.
Yeah, that's Brandon. Thank you, Brandon Cody. Where's that, way over there?
Yeah, way over there.
Here by the...
Well, my goodness. There's no telling where it all goes.
The Eisman family will be in good shape in no time.
We'll be back in it pretty quick.
These guys are out here. They're here for business. They're not here to just play around.
And for Brian,
Don't know how good a community we got until it hits.
he's realized how quickly strangers can become friends.
I'll be the first on the spot next time to help somebody, I guarantee it. It's opened my eyes.
Nearly 200 volunteers showed up to help in Buffalo today. Some of them came in groups. A lot of them just came all by themselves. And the city says this is certainly not the end of it. They're expecting some people to come from out of state to help some more with the rebuilding. In Buffalo, Sarah Sheffield, KY3 News.
Thanks, Sarah. A lot of the volunteers at the Eisman's house today were from the First Baptist Church in Buffalo.
The Buffalo Walmart was transformed into a fundraising center this morning. The Buffalo Junior High Choir put on a bake sale and car wash to help families who lost everything. The fundraiser was already planned for today, but originally the money raised would be kept by the choir. The decision to give away the earnings and help their community was an easy one to make.
A couple of our friends' house got ruined, so we decided that we'd probably want to help them because if my house is ruined, I'd want people to come in and help me.
The car wash and bake sale raised $1,000 for the Buffalo community.
While some folks are trying to keep up with the recent floods, others are spending the day assessing the possible damage from last night's frost.